All right. So I'm what you need. You're watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can subscribe, share, comment, donate to this channel via Western Union or MoneyGram. We're going to start talking some boxing. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is how COVID or COVID-19 is affecting sports in general. So we see that all sporting matches are all of a sudden stopped. We now know COVID-19 can be stopped by simply applying heat. The virus cannot survive in very high temperatures. So if you find that you're getting some symptoms of COVID-19, just simply go into a steam bath or have a hot foot bath. Get a hot towel, put it over your head, that kind of stuff. Use hot drinks, and that treatment will actually get rid of it within minutes. All right, guys? It's every coronavirus gets licked up like that. So just get yourself up to a fever, boom, gone. Of course, there are other things like most people who have strong, robust immune systems, probably the virus will not survive in their system to start with. So what I advise people to do is use immunoboosters. Simply use proper things like greens, kale and that kind of stuff in the morning. Just make sure your immune system's intact. Drink a lot of water. Water's always good. And you're pretty much good, man. You're good to go. All right? So a lot of you guys are panicking out there and going on shopping sprees and stuff. I think you're spending money out of control. I'm not doing none of that stuff. It's not that I'm afraid of this virus or anything like that, but I always believe God destines us for what we're going to be and can't avoid what we can't avoid. So I'll just carry on as normal, okay? For you guys, of course, keep yourself clean as possible, but you also have an immune system. If your immune system is good, from what I heard from the health authorities in my country, the most people who are susceptible to these things are the following people. People are using drugs for cancer, certain cancer treatments. People have diabetes and using medications. People who are old and they have health problems. These are the people most susceptible to getting licked up really bad by this disease. It's kind of mild coming down on other people. So that's like a cold. So just remember that, bear that in mind. I hope this information keeps you guys calm. A lot of you guys are panicking because a lot of governments around the world have just frozen everything, everything, shut down schools and everything, just to kind of keep the virus contained. But really and truly, there are worse viruses out there right now being spread around, and you guys are not even aware of it. I do believe part of it is propaganda, but better safe than sorry, people say. So it is what it is. Now let's go on to something else we want to talk about. So the COVID-19 obviously has affected all the sports and entertainment, and so people have stopped having sporting events and entertainment events. They just kind of halted everything to make sure this thing is contained. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to open back up. And I do believe, you see, the gestations period for this thing is about 12 hours to 24 hours. Some people are saying it could be weeks to months. I've heard the health authorities say that. But basically, like a common cold, it's around that duration of time, okay? Depending on your immune system and your health, it could go within hours, whereas it can go within months, okay? All right, let's move on to something else. So we're talking about in boxing now. I actually, because there was no boxing this weekend, I got to look at Chocolatito versus Yafai. Okay, Yafai being, I believe it was the WBA champion at, what's up, my dude, Tommy Temper? It's good to see you, brother. I'm not going to be taking too long on this video because I got to go out and work and then come back, okay? If this video was paying me, I would spend more time, but it doesn't. Okay, so, as to, I was looking at Chocolatito versus Chocolatito. Actually, I looked at a couple of Chocolatito's fights. But one of the fights I watched at was Chocolatito versus Yafai. Okay, if you guys remember the first name, what's his first name again? I forgot. Khalid Yafai. Okay, Khalid Yafai basically is a Middle Eastern fighter, I guess, from one of those Middle Eastern countries, and he's trained by, I forgot what I think it's either Australian or English trainer. Now, what was the problem with Khalid Yafai? Khalid Yafai was not following his trainer's instruction at all. His trainer had seen Rungvisai face Chocolatito and see how well he performed. He had watched at Juan Francisco Estrada faced Chocolatito and how he performed. He had watched at how Carlos Cuadras had performed against Chocolatito, and he had basically understood what you need to do to beat Chocolatito. However, that fell on flat ears with Khalid Yafai, and Khalid Yafai only began to do things that his trainer was telling him to do after the fact that Chocolatito had already broken him down. So let's explain what actually happened in that fight. Now, at the lower weight classes, I noticed that the referees are much more hard on people leaning and putting their weight down on another fighter. In fact, they're even against clinching for the most part, which I found interesting. But even so, and this referee refereed a number of Chocolatito fights that refereed the fight against Yafai. But even so, I want to break down a little bit about what we found out how to beat Chocolatito. One of the things you got to do is turn him. Okay, we've seen it with Carlos Cuadras fight. We've seen it with Juan Francisco Estrada. Now, Juan Francisco Estrada recently beat Rungvisai, Sir Rungvisai, if I'm not mistaken, in a rematch that they had. What I want to say about the whole thing is this, okay? When you start turning a fighter, and Juan Francisco Estrada did that too, Carlos Cuadras did that, and also Sir Rungvisai also did it against Chocolatito. When you got this guy turning, now Carlos Cuadras, he used boxing, so he boxed him on the outside. So the game plan for all three guys that beat Chocolatito, in my opinion, whether it's Estrada or it's Cuadras, and I thought Cuadras beat him. I just watched the fight recently, or Sir Rungvisai, who beat him as well, is all of these guys started off boxing Chocolatito. And I'm going to demonstrate a couple things really quickly if I can. I'm going to demonstrate something to you. Now, you've seen a series of fights in which boxers have, you know, this guy is a vicious boxer, you know. He puts his hands up, you know, and he's bobbing and weaving, he's coming at you, right? But for some reason, against this particular fighter, he's just standing on the outside, bobbing and weaving on the outside, but he will not come to the inside. I'm going to tell you why. Whether you're doing it from a southpaw stance or whether you're doing it from an orthodox stance, occupying your opponent keeps them from doing anything. All right? Tyson Fury occupied Deontay Wilder with his jab and with his, even with his right hand at times. Floyd Mayweather occupied a lot of guys bigger and stronger than him. Juan Francisco Estrada occupied Sir Rungvisai and used, I'm going to tell you about the other parts later on. Occupy your opponent. All right? Just recently there, Barry Robinson showed this in a fight between Marvin Hagler and another guy. Marvin Hagler is usually a relentless guy coming at you. And the other guy was not only able to occupy, but control Marvin Hagler and get himself out of bad situations where he would have been beaten up really bad by Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler would have done what he done, but Marvin Hagler, instead of hesitating on the outside, he just hesitated on the outside. You know, he's hesitating on the outside. He's not coming in, okay? So I'm going to demonstrate. Remember, I am not a professional boxer, and therefore my demonstrations are not going to be extremely accurate. But I want you to get the idea of what's happening, okay? All right, so Sir Rungvisai is a southpaw. Therefore, his most effective hand is not necessarily his jabbing hand, but it is his straight left, okay? Sir Rungvisai started both fights against Chocolatito Gonzalez using that left hand. He was the first guy to get his left hand in, And he got Chocolatito with the left hand first to the head, then he changed it up and he went to the body. Once he did that, he took away Chocolatito's right hand. Chocolatito liked to get in close. Sir Rungvisai don't have a problem with that. He liked to go in close too. He's very strong, super flyweight, okay? So what does Sir Rungvisai do? As Chocolatito's about to come in the inside, bop, he throw a jab and catch him in the head, okay? Now, once he established these jabs and these punches where Chocolatito's getting bopped back in the head and he's got touch, now he can just stick it out sometimes He could feint it as if he's gonna throw it, feint the left hand sometimes, and then throw a body shot. He could start changing it up. And Chocolatito, he gonna be on the outside, and he gonna hesitate, and he's trying to snap back, and he'll hesitate to come on the inside. And as a result of that, you got the opponent occupied, worrying about what you're gonna do instead of what he's supposed to do. And so that's what you want to do in boxing. Now, both Juan Estrada does that. He feints after he's gotten his shots in. He'll feint you and all of that. And he did that. He kept Rungvisai off balance through both fights, much more successfully in the second fight where he won that. And that's how you get your opponent to just kind of stand in front of you at times, and you just picking them apart. And then you, of course, use your pivot work. So once you throw a shot, you pivot out the way, okay? So you would find that Carlos Cuadras, who throws a blistering amount of combinations, some piggyback punches, some heavy punches, and you saw the damage he was able to do to Chocolatito. In fact, I thought that Carlos Cuadras won that fight. And I thought Juan Francisco Estrada lost the first fight against Rungvisai, but the second fight, he did beat him. And the point behind it is, a lot of times people do not understand boxing to the level of feinting and how you control your opponent and how you get your opponent to do things that they don't normally do, or you keep them in place, okay? Now, there's another thing I want to talk about. So Tyson Fury did that to Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury also did that to Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora would want to come charging in, and Tyson Fury would throw that jab right in his face and keep him back in place. So that's how you control your opponent, and you get him not to do the things that make them do the things that they don't want to do. Now, with that in light, that's from a southpaw orthodox stance. Instead of throwing, a lead left, if you're southpaw, you throw a jab probably. But even if you use both hands to kind of stave off your opponent somewhat and keep them in place where you want them, at the range you prefer. You saw Floyd do it against Pacquiao, right? All right, so boxing always supersedes brawling. Boxing, I'm going to say it again, always supersedes brawling. And there's a reason why a guy could be stronger than you, he could be bigger than you, he could punch harder than you, but you can control him. You control him by ensuring that you occupy him. He can't throw what he can't see. And if you blind him with a punch, or you stick a punch in front of his face as he's coming in and he walks into it, it's still it's an annoyance, and he has to get around it. He has to figure out a way to get around it. And so he's occupied thinking about what you did instead of what he's supposed to do. And that's very important. All right, let's get on to something else. So when we look at Yafai versus Rungvisai, his trainer was telling him to box him and break him down. And later on, you can bang with him. But what did Yafai do? He tried to go in there and bang with Chocolatito. And the referee was cautioning him not to put his weight down on him. Not to weigh down on him, not to push him, not to rough him up. So he couldn't rough him up like he wanted to, and he couldn't push his weight down on him like he wanted to, which left him trying to bang out with a guy that loves to bang out. In fact, Chocolatito's corner was like, arriba, 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 arriba la mano, arriba, right? He's telling him in the corner, throw some hands. Yeah, let's go, right? So while his corner is telling him to throw hands, Yafai's corner is telling him, box him, come off your jab, then use angles, pivot, use feints. He's telling him the things that actually what the other fighters used to beat Chocolatito, officially or unofficially, right? But Yafai wouldn't listen. He just got into a drawn-out war, and he just kept on warring, and Chocolatito was able to break him down to the body, particularly. He was going to the body quite well, and eventually stopped him. All right, so that was Chocolatito versus Yafai. Chocolatito is a hell of a fighter, but I'm telling you now, man, he can get beat easy by guys who can box, guys who really know how to box. I'm not talking about guys who go in there slinging it and they seem fantastic and stuff, but they don't know the science of boxing. I'm talking about guys that can occupy you, guys who know how to set you up with feints, guys who know how to counterpunch. I'm talking about those kinds of guys. And most of the fighters Chocolatito faced didn't have that pedigree. You had guys like Juan Francisco Estrada who had that pedigree. Rungvisai is big and strong to start with, so you can engage him on the inside. Plus, he set him up with that right hook. He dropped him the first time with the right hook, and then the second time he caught him with remember it's a southpaw. He caught him with the right hook. He feinted it to the body, came up top to the head. Chocolatito took it flush on the jaw. Okay, so Chocolatito is a good fighter. Okay, in fact, we could call him a great fighter. All right, but the opponents he had been facing were not on the caliber of a Carlos Cuadras, of a Rungvisai, or of Juan Francisco Estrada. It's just later on now we're seeing people of that caliber and of that later level, and when he faces those guys, he kind of gets beat up. All right, he gets beat up because them guys ain't going nowhere. The usual combinations that he would throw that would probably stop those guys, it's not stopping them at all. Or the usual, work that he might put into those guys wouldn't, excuse me for a minute, for some reason somebody's blasting a radio. I don't know why, but some people are like that. I don't know what's their story, but I'm going to just do like this and just move into an insulated room so I can continue this discussion, okay? Because you just never know what goes on in people's heads. Because people can be straight up haters too. It is what it is. So, like I was saying, Chocolatito, when he faced Rungvisai, Rungvisai was actually applying that kind of stuff to him. That is why Rungvisai was able to do what he did. It wasn't just he was banging with him. He was actually using science behind it. And people kind of appreciated that in his first fight against Juan Francisco Estrada. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about mainly. But I also wanted to talk about, the biasness that commentary teams can do to influence people's opinions on fights. And one of the things that Carlos Cuadras was tattooing up, Chocolatito really, really bad. And for some reason, the commentary team thought he was running. And he wasn't. He was tattooing and moving, and it's just one of those things where, people talk about more effective punching. Well, if Chocolatito was more effective punching, why is it that Carlos Cuadras' face wasn't damaged, but his face was all puffy? It's this kind of thing. But I get it. There's hype behind certain fighters, and certain people are fanboying out, and I get it. Even commenters for commentary teams who are geared to promote a certain fighter. So I get it. But when you look at guys like Carlos Cuadras, excellent fighter. You look at guys like Juan Francisco Estrada. These guys don't really get the shine that they deserve. Of course, Estrada still gets hit a little too much, in my opinion, than he should get hit. But, he's a fighter like Eric Morales. So I guess that's what it is. But at the end of the day, these guys have also accomplished quite a lot, especially Estrada, and he doesn't really get the shine and praise that he really deserves. Everybody's all on the Chocolatito wagon. He was supposedly pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, and everybody ignored Juan Francisco Estrada. Everybody. Well, Rungvisai gets his respect. Rungvisai, demands respect, whether you like it or not. And people talk. What's another thing that I find very sad is when these people try to apologize and talk about how, certain fighters, they are getting tired or they're getting old. Please, man, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't tell me a fighter's getting old when you see they get ass getting beat because the level of competition they're facing is higher than the level of competition they faced before. And that's the kind of thing that I don't like. I don't like when people try to take away credit from an actual fighter. It's different when a fighter actually is old and he's faded and he hasn't been performing at the level he's performing at. It's another thing when a fighter's getting his ass beat. I mean, Carlos Cuadras beat that ass. He beat that ass bad. He could have stopped Chocolatito if he had pressed it a little bit more. He beat that ass bad. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get the decision, but he definitely put in some work on Chocolatito. I mean, he beat that ass bad. And I think after the Carlos Cuadras beating, I don't think Chocolatito was ever the same, to be honest with you. So Rungvisai just finished him off, but he'd been found out. And with credit to Juan Francisco Estrada, he's the first guy to make everybody know, okay, this guy's found out. Carlos Cuadras had the ability and skill from a long time ago. So I'm just saying that, people talk about Chocolatito was too small for the division. No, he just met guys that got skills and abilities that match his. And they can hang with him. Not only can they hang with him, they can beat him and beat him bad. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that Chocolatito, they talk about his great defense and stuff. He ain't got that great a defense. You know what I mean? He just never faced the level of fighter that could exploit it. So once you started facing fighters that could exploit that, fighters that are big and strong, like you are, it's different. And I'm gonna bring this case to you guys. Terrence Crawford's the same thing. He has not faced a level of fighter or opponent that truly can show his flaws and weaknesses. He's been cruising along because he's been facing guys who are not like the welterweight division. All right. And everybody talking, and he's supposed to chirp and say, he can run through these guys. He ain't running through none of them. Not those welterweights. Another thing, we look at Canelo, and I've been saying it all the time. Canelo ain't gonna run through Demetrius Andrade. He's not running through Billy Joe Saunders, who he's scheduled to face, and we hope that fight will happen. And he's not running through none of them guys. Actually, he's not gonna run through Jamal Charlo either. He's not gonna run through, he's not running through none of them. Okay, none of them. They're too young, too strong to just be run through. Okay. And that's something people need to understand. And again, I'm critical of Canelo facing these young guys. I want him to face the young guns. I want him to face the people of his era. I don't want him facing old guys, right? He gets some experience from them, but that's about it. You know what I'm saying? So, as you can see, I'm universally criticizing people across the board, and my criticisms are fair, and that's just the way how this channel operates. I'm going to catch you guys later. I got to get out of here. I'm what you need. You watching my channel. If you want to donate to my channel, remember to Coach Shelton Harris from Combat Sports. What's up, my brother? What's up, my brother? Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. The Deontay Wilder glove issue is a real issue. And again, I do not agree that Deontay Wilder in the first fight knocked down Tyson Fury beyond 10 seconds. That didn't happen. Somebody actually did the count, and also the referee was fair with that. But Jack Reese coming out and talking about how Deontay Wilder, that Tyson Fury, the gloves fit the hand and all this. Dude. Jack Reese, now you need to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Because in both fights, we saw the glove. And people are trying to discredit Glovegate. I see them trying hard, but you can't discredit Glovegate. You cannot discredit it. And now recent information just came out, which I wanted to talk about this. And I saw it from Dante's Boxing Nation, but I also verified it myself, that the issue with nandrosolone, which is a steroid. Remember Tyson Fury got caught for using nandrosolone after the first Klitschko fight, and they were supposed to have a second Klitschko fight, and he had to be suspended from boxing for that. They made the excuse that they got it in wild boar meat. Well, guess what? The guy who supposedly was supposed to corroborate with them about the wild boar meat, he came out just recently and said, you know what? He lied. They didn't get no wild boar meat from him. Somebody from Tyson Fury's team contacted him and said they would pay him 25,000 pounds if he testified that Tyson Fury and I believe it's Billy Joe Saunders got wild boar meat. And that's where they got the nandrosolone from. So guess what? Tyson Fury lied and his team. So not only is Tyson Fury a guy who is shady, he's also very, very intentionally dishonest. So we got a ton of evidence against Tyson Fury cheating. And it's sad because he's a hell of a boxer. He is a hell of a boxer. Man, there ain't nobody like Tyson Fury out here right now. And I'm a Tyson Fury fan. But I do not let my fandom get so crazy that I ignore literal facts, not fabricated facts. Okay? There are a lot of people fabricating shit and saying, Wilder this and Wilder that. I'm not into that shit. But when it comes to actual hardcore facts, you're going to see me coming in and be saying like, no, that's a fact, man. These are facts, okay? You got video evidence showing Tyson Fury, okay, punching with gloves that are floppy. And we're talking about in the left hand. And then, not only do we have that, if you guys can just recall, Recently, Tyson Fury's sparring partner, one of his sparring partners, came out and showed that there was no padding in his gloves, at the tip of his glove when he was sparring him. And he exposed him for that. Not only that, but now we come to see Tyson Fury versus, what's the guy's name? Christian Hammer. Before that fight began, the referee was checking Tyson Fury's glove, realized that he had no thumb in the thumb part of the glove. And he was shaking his hand. He made the corner come and re-glove him, okay, in his left hand. There's video evidence of this, okay? And if that ain't enough, then we find out that Tyson Fury in the first fight had floppy gloves in his left hand, and he's jabbing with a floppy glove. Shout out to Gonzalez. What's up, my brother? And then, if that is not enough, he did it in the second fight too. We see that floppy glove. All right? And then, if that's not enough, he also cheated against Vladimir Klitschko probably in the first fight too. He got caught for nandrolone, okay? So I don't want to hear nothing. The man's shady. Okay, the man is shady. He always trying to get an edge on his opponent. All right, now he did beat Christian Hammer, even with his glove set in the right way. But my point is, why you got to cheat, Tyson Fury? Why did you? That's why you so depressed after your fight against Vladimir Klitschko, because you got suspended from boxing. Then you say you going on a cocaine binge. Come on, man. You know, and then on top of that, Tyson Fury, you know, I just don't like that, man. I don't like when people do these kinds of things because it shines a bad light on the sport. And I was listening to all these Wilder fans saying Tyson Fury's a cheat, he's a cheat, he's a cheat. And I didn't like it, okay, until I saw evidence that showed he was cheating. And you can't be doing that, man. You know, Tyson Fury, if you out there and you watching this video for some reason or the other, you disappoint me, man, because I back you. I back you 100%. You're a hell of a fighter. You're a hell of a boxer. Okay? I have you ranked above every single heavyweight in the division. And you disappoint me, you know, by doing this. Why you got to do that? You don't have to do this. You was trying to work around it to get more testosterone. Okay. Once you're working around the system, it's okay. But don't cheat, man. Don't do that. Don't cheat. That's my problem with Tyson Fury. Why you got to cheat? Why you got to cheat? That's my only problem. You know, Bradar says boxing is full of cheats, even in the amateurs. There's guys that take steroids and it's dangerous for us. They're legit. Man, I hear you, man. It's prevalent in boxing. I agree with that 100%. All right? But that don't make it right. It don't make it right. Right? It doesn't make it right. So, you know, Tyson Fury, man, obviously the Nevada State Athletic Commission made a statement, and their statement didn't sound good at all. It sounded like, you know, they're just dismissing the issue. And then, of course, Jack Reese came out. And so, you know, it just does not look good. Everything does not look good. You know, people just asking for an investigation into it. Listen, man, you know, if you're going to go into a third fight, people are going to keep their eyes open for that. They're going to keep their eyes open for Tyson Fury's glove. They're going to keep their eyes open to see if how his body look and how he's conducting himself, to see if he's taking anything. People are going to have their eyes on him straight through, because you cannot be, I mean, I don't know if they had VADA testing. I know Deontay Wilder, he does VADA testing. So I'm assuming that they both were VADA tested and it was clean. So I don't think that's the problem. But you can't cheat like that. Now, some people are saying, well, how do the gloves help Tyson Fury since the floppy gloves? Well, there's many different ways it helps him, okay? Many different ways it gives him an advantage, all right? One of the things is you're punching with an unpadded region of the glove. The second thing is you also get extra reach. And some people will say, well, what does that matter? He's not going to punch very hard with his extra reach. When you can touch a boxer and the boxer realizes, wait, now he can still touch me, especially if you landed something solid on him first and then you start throwing the jab. It's kind of like a feint almost. What it does is it makes the boxer back up more than he needs to. Not to mention you can get his head in place by using that. And then the other thing is he might see you hit him with a slapping punch, but his body feels something totally different because you throw him with the knuckles. And once a boxer can't brace for a punch like he's supposed to brace for it, it could actually be much more damaging than if he braced for it and he knew it was your knuckles coming at him, whether it's these knuckles or these knuckles, okay? And no matter what people say. And then the other thing is, which a lot of people are trying to downgrade, is he could punch with the palm of his hand if he wanted to. All right? It's not just a slapping punch. A slapping punch is like this. Okay? But when you punch like this, it's totally different. Okay? That's the damaging punch. Okay? We don't know if he was doing that either. Okay? So it's like this dude be bending the rules, and it's not cool. It's not cool, because if he could do it, somebody else is going to be emboldened to do it too. And then a lot of people going to try and do it, because boxers always looking for an edge to win. And sometimes a guy upset another guy in a fight, but really he was cheating. Okay. So we can't have that in boxing. We can't have that. We're trying to keep the sport, trying to make the sport clean. If you're going to go and try and make the sport clean, then you got to be clean. And you got to do things by the book. All right. So Tyson Fury is a hell of a boxer. I give him his props, man. I watched his fight against he really just totally outclassed and outboxed and beat up the crap out of Derek Chisora the second time. Okay. And I'm just saying, man, he's a great boxer, but you can't be cheating. That's all I'm saying to people. All right, man. So that pretty much covers everything I wanted to say. So I'm gonna catch you guys later. At some other time. I gotta go out and work. I'm gonna see you guys on What You Need. You watching my channel. You guys have a good one. Don't forget you can donate to my channel. Folks who can donate and you feel happy to donate, do so, please. Don't forget that.